So I know that we wanted to kind of get right into talking about refereeing and what kind of games that you ref and all that kind of stuff. But I would like to get to know you just a little bit more. Maybe you can give us a little introduction of yourself and where you're from and all that kind of stuff like that, Josh.
Okay. Yeah. Here from Sioux City. Born and raised Sioux City. Used to do a little work here in Winnebago. Back with Land of Wellness, and that was when I was with the health department. I don't know if that's still in the fall.
They fall now, but I believe it started out with the tribe. I think that's where it originally was.
Okay. So yeah, one of the originators out there when getting the softball field set up, getting all the youth programs, softball, baseball, getting all that set up. Just kind of helping out, however, whenever I could, and kind of where I'm at now.
Okay. So refereeing. I know being a referee. I know you had to have been playing some kind of sports in your past. Do you referee the same game that you played back in the day?
Yes and no. It was way, way back in the day. Well, I think I was still in diapers, crossing people.
We usually all are like that.
Yeah. That was the last time I remember I was good in basketball. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, yeah.
Yeah, and I know that you ump a lot of games too during the summertime.
Yeah, do a lot of softball. This year, probably transition. Actually, I've transitioned into more baseball.
More baseball.
So I'll do a lot of baseball and maybe some girls fast pitch.
Yeah, I mean that was one of the things that we wanted to ask is that we're starting out. Kind of what led you into getting into the refereeing. Like what kind of inspired you to go pick up that whistle, put on those stripes. Kind of what led you down that road. Because like I said, there's a lot of people in our community that have been talking about it. There's a need for it, but kind of, seeing a local boy, I guess, that, we're able to go watch our boys play or watch our kids play. And, you get to see a Native American out there on a referee crew. It's a really good sight to see.
Right.
And so like what led you down that path? What got you there?
Yeah, I think what led me there was just seeing, like I said, there's a term, a weekend warrior. Being able to, with the basketball tournament, you can work 20, 25 games between a Saturday and Sunday and make a little extra cash.
Yeah.
Not that was the reason I got into it, but it helped. These little basketball tournaments, going to work 10, 12 games a day, and from there we just kind of transitioned to good coach Nelson Wilson. He's like, why don't you just get certified with the state?
Yeah.
There's a huge need for officials throughout the state, and he's like, I guarantee it, you'll be working some upper class games here within the next year or two. And sure enough, that's what I was doing. I mean, my second year, I was already in the varsity ranks, working tons of nights, and I could work 5 nights a week.
Yeah, and like I said, that's something that I think that we've seen. Me myself being able to follow the South Sioux boys with my boys. So shout out to Coach Nelly.
Yeah.
Shout out to Nelly and. Watching the South Sioux boys and then also following the Winnebago boys and just seeing the different Northeast area, we come across a lot of the same refs. Yep. It's always the same guys, it's always the same crews, and it's just like, and then once you walk into a game, it's almost like, oh man, here we go. Cause you kind of know how they officiate the game, and that's how much, like you were talking about earlier, there's a need for referees and how much of a demand there is right now because there is a lot of guys that are older, that are retiring, that are stepping away. But there isn't a big influx right now of a younger generation that wants to go pick up that whistle, wants to put on those stripes, and be in those positions. And honestly, it's just like, I don't know, Q, you brought that up earlier too about how, there is like a big need for here in Winnebago. But then there's also just like a big young group here in Winnebago that also, hey, they are picking up that whistle and they're going up to help out at arena and those things. So like, just finding that next path, right, to get them onto that next step because there is really good money to be made there. With the demand there is.
And that's a good opportunity to have somebody, whether they're a young person or an older person that just wants to try to get in there and get the opportunity. You have a number of tournaments now that are just 15 minutes away from us right here, and there's so many games that they, Josh knows too. You can, like he said, you can do 20, 25 games in 2 days. But that's a need, and it's just you walk into a gym like that, you see. There's 16 refs working at the same time, so the demand is big, but not too many people do it because of what we talked about previously about the flack that you get from being a referee by the fans, by the coaches, by the players, you know, and nobody really likes to be talked to negatively, you know, but so then that brings me to one point too that I wanted to make mention of is our demand that we're hoping to get around here with local referees. The reason why we do that is, you know, you guys all know that, you know, we don't want a native ref come in and call a game for us and, you know, give us the advantage. We don't want that. You know, we just want somebody that will honestly and truly, for once, give us native teams a fair chance, you know, a fair chance. And so when I see gentlemen like Josh Taylor here, I know I got a good friend up there, Rob Wooten. Woot's been reffing for years, you know, and you kind of get that, and you get some I guess a different look at a referee team, and somebody who's going to give you a little bit more fair of a chance, you know. And I know that when I say that, people are like, oh, you guys are always crying around about calls and stuff like that. But honestly, I mean, us natives all know that there's a big, huge difference on how they referee our games. And, you know, a lot of us like to say, oh, it's because we're brown or whatever like that, you know. And then the non-natives, they think we're always crying around and stuff like that, but they'll never know. They will never, ever know what we're talking about. They will never know. Unless you have one of your kids play for one of our teams and go travel with us to different games.
I mean, then you'll see that in whether you're on the circuit, whether you're just, you know, hitting the bigger tournaments, the larger tournaments, you know, because I think, and I don't know, maybe Josh can touch on this more, but maybe it's just the style of play. You know, I think that native teams like to press a lot more. They like to run up and down a lot more. They like to attack the basket a lot more. And that leads to, in my mind anyway, the way I used to coach my boys was, you know, and I think I told this story on this show before, but one of the stories that I used to use with my boys was that, you know, we always had a hotel room. There'd be like 6 or 7 of us staying in the same double bedroom, you know, because you got to do what you got to do, right, to afford to be at the tournament.
Yeah.
But I always used to tell them, all right, first guy to get anyone gets to the bed. You know, and like the guys, and that's what was my encouragement for them to attack the basket.
That's
you know,
a good one.
And as soon as they'd make their first N1, they'd point right at me. If they make their free throw, and they already knew they had it locked down for the night, you know, whatever it was. But you know, is that something that you know? That is it the style of play? I mean, do you hear other refs talking about, man, I got to go do Winnebago, and they're like this? Or, I mean, I'm assuming not, but we don't know either because we're not in those circles. So I mean, that's why we're trying to bring it on Josh here.
You know,
yes, sir.
Officials, you know, when I have conversations with other officials, it's like, hey, you know, I'm going down to Winnebago, or I'm going down to Macy, or whatever the case may be. And the only thing that I hear is they're going to run. Be prepared to run.
Yeah.
And then that's the style that these boys play.
Yeah.
And girls.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The girls are the same way.
Yeah.
Yep.
And unfortunately, I feel some officials, you know, get fatigued during the game.
Okay. Makes sense.
Then they start to get sloppy, and they start calling fouls, with the need of needing a break.
I see.
You got to understand that we're running just as much
As the kids
as
are.
these kids are.
Yeah.
And they get subs. Nah, I'm just kidding.
And they get subs.
Yeah.
No, this is true. They get subs. So when you got 3 officials, and especially, you know, like I was talking about, you got these older crews that are looking to either get out or maybe dealing with a hamstring injury or something of that sort. They look forward to making foul calls. And you know, it just
Makes a lot of sense.
That-
It really does. Makes a lot of sense.
Dude, that is like makes so much sense.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know, just that, knowing that is like huge, you know. I mean, I actually, like, you know, I never, you know, refed like, you know, the high school games and stuff like that, certified or anything like that, but I can see that, you know, because we work those weekends up at the arena sometimes, and you know, you got 4 or 5 games in a row. I mean, by the time you get to that 4th and 5th game, it's like, dude, like, you know,
4th and 5th.
yeah. Well, I know, but see, we're talking like, you know, you don't want that clock to stop.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You just want it to
yeah.
keep it going. So maybe you try not to make so many calls, or you try to, you know, or something like that. Because in order to kind of save your own legs, you got to do something.
You know, my whole thing.
That makes sense.
Philosophy behind this is don't become a part of the game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't interject yourself where you don't need to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're calling little ticky-tacky fouls and you're stopping the clock and nobody's there to watch players shoot free throws. Let's just be honest.
Yeah.
They don't want to sit there and watch someone shoot free throws.
Yeah.
That's not the point of this game.
Yeah.
So it's my philosophy is and ones really don't exist. How do you get fouled and still make a basket?
So you're saying at the high school level there is some form of continuation like they have at the NBA, then that's kind of where an N1 comes from?
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And the reason is it's all about game management.
Yeah.
How do you really get fouled and make the basket? It's hard to now if you get a little ticky tack and you once again you might have an official. There's a ticky tack. We're gonna shoot.
Yeah.
You know, I need a little breather here.
Yeah.
You know, and it's unfortunate to say that, but it's the reality. It happens.
I mean, and that's something that me and you might have even had a conversation back a while ago, but it's just like the way that referees have called the game the past maybe 10 years ago or even 20 years ago when I played ball or whatnot, but especially for Native Americans or in general, I guess. It's not even just Native Americans I'm talking about, but the old hand check rule. You know, like there was a lot of guys that, you know, as soon as you would go and put your hand on a guy's hip or hold a guy on his arm, then it was automatic that, you know, hey, that's a foul. Mm-hmm. You know, compared to now where you could almost like ride a guy on his hip and just, you know, push him all the way down the court with your body, as long as you're not leaning into him or whatnot, you know what I mean? But it's not a foul anymore.
Right.
You know, it's just basketball.
As long as it doesn't create an advantage or disadvantage.
Yeah.
Why blow your whistle?
Yeah.
It's all about game management, clock management.
Yep. Yeah, and one good thing that I like to see, Josh, when you're in our community though, is that we do get a fair shake. You know, we do get a fair shake on. We do get a fair shake on, you know, number of calls. You know, and I'm not trying to say every game, but it seems like, you know, the foul situation in a game that you're officiating, it tends to kind of keep the fouls more even, you know. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes, you know, I notice from experience too, reffing, is that you get a non-native reffing with you, and they see how you're calling the game, and they kind of maybe start following the lead and call the game the way you're calling it, you know. And one thing that I'm going to stress, and then I'll kind of move on to the next topic is, you know, or not the next topic, but the next subject in this matter, but is you know, we try to teach and the reason why I'm talking about unfairness on the fishing and whatnot is because, you know, me and you know, we've been coaching for years, man, and there's a lot of new coaches coming up, and we noticed that, you know, we take our kids out to these tournaments and these leagues and stuff like that, and you get our boys doing exactly what they're being taught in practice. They're being told to, you know, stay in front of the ball, move your feet, cut them off, don't reach in. And then we're doing all those things. Box out, you know, grab a man, box out, you know, push him back, use leverage, all those things, you know. And then we do all those things and we still get a call called against us. Mm-hmm. You know, and then we're like, you know, what do we do? You know, like we're trying to teach kids how to the right way to do things, and they're doing exactly what they're being told about the rules of the game, but you're still making these calls.
Right.
You know, so what do we do, sir? You know, do you get people coming up to you and asking you those kinds of questions, like, or do you just get people yelling at you all the time? I know.
No, it really just depends on the team itself. So I like to communicate with the players on the court. So if I call a foul on a player, they're going to come up right away and say, "Hey, what can I do differently?" Yeah. Well, hey, this is, and I'm just going to say, this is what I saw. I saw contact to whatever, and maybe if you move your hands or do this, adjust. That's how I don't blow my whistle. And they're like, okay. So then they'll go down the very next play. They're in that same situation. They took the advice. We're still playing ball. Yeah. There's no whistle. So I approach it that way. And then I also have, coaches. Hey, I'm gonna get a timeout. When I have a timeout, I want to explain to them what you're calling.
Yeah.
Perfect. This is how I'm calling it. And not that the other two officials are gonna call it that same way, but we're all gonna kind of work that same mechanic.
Yeah.
And coaches I've had no problem with coaches saying, okay, perfect. As long as you three are all kind of on the same page, then I can work with my guys, because us officials aren't going to adjust to your style of play. Meaning,
Makes sense. Yeah.
meaning
Yeah.
you players and you coaches are going to adjust to how we're calling the game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how I've
Yep.
always officiated.
So I'm just going to piggyback off that, and then you can chime in here in a little bit just to maybe kind of support what I'm going to say. But, back in the day, growing up, and a lot of times on the show, I'll just say back in the day. Back in the day when we were all playing ball, we're growing up. I remember like my dad and my uncles and the coaches that we all had, and then myself even being a young coach. I was probably hard to deal with for the referees. Because we would just jump to conclusions right off the bat. I mean, of course, we felt being unfair and stuff like that, but we didn't address the issue the way that we were supposed to. Instead, we would go quick
Right.
at the mouth.
Right.
Darn it.
Like apologize later kind of thing. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
we'll
Like,
apologize after the game,
Yeah.
or something like that, but never try to talk real respectfully, like to the officials, like we were just not talking about, sir. And so, you learn that over the years,
Right,
over
right.
the years. And so, like now, I have some young coaches that I watch coach games and stuff, and they're those young coaches I used to be,
Yep.
and
Yep.
they'll let the officials know how they really feel, and sometimes I got to kind of maybe stick my head in there and say, hey, you can't talk to them like that.
Right, right.
I mean, they're not going to listen to you like that.
Yeah, and it
But-
took me a long time as well to learn that. You know what I mean? Like when I started out as a young coach, like I said, I mean, when Q says he was a young problem, remember he played before there was a 3-point line.
Yep.
Don't forget that.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That's how long Q's been at this
Yeah,
game.
You just looking at me smiling like he's dogging on me, but yeah, he's telling the truth, man. He's telling the truth.
But like I mean, I guess my experience beginning out, we were all up there at East High, at Hayworth Hoops and stuff, and of course, we always kind of we're not real super good teams, but Winnebago's had a good history at Hayworth of having really good teams up there. Whether the competition matched or whatnot, but we always had that one or two teams that kind of hung with us. The rest of the teams we'd be beaten by 20, 30.
Right.
I even watched a few Q's teams do that this year. But in the same token, you go into games and it's just like, and you got to remember, Hayworth Hoops is a high school driven league. It's literally the high school kids reffing games, maybe a couple of adults here and there. So, me being young, didn't understand all that, and I'm just like, why aren't we getting this call? Why is my guy getting pushed? Why is my guy being able to get bodied? And then come to find out, I mean, I got thrown out of Hayworth a couple times. You know what I mean? As a young coach, I did. I did
too.
because I was just, I was over it. And
Right.
I want to stick up for my boys, and we're not going to stand for that type of attitude.
Exactly.
And so, it happened. I get it. But, as I got older and figured things out, that's where I came from, that other kind of things of just, I got to talk to him. I got to be respectful. I got to ask him a question versus just, why aren't you doing that?
Yeah.
Why, like you said, jump to that conclusion of like he's automatically against us
Right.
when it's just a kid on his 8th game of the day.
Yeah.
And he's just
Yeah.
tired.
Yeah.
And like we get that, and like I said, the biggest thing for me, especially like with the younger guys that I work with that come help us out down there at men's league and stuff, it's just try to be consistent. On both ends of the court.
Right.
If you're going to call it on one side for these guys, please call it the same way on for the other guys.
Right.
Because otherwise it's going to look like you are having biases. You're going to have favoritism and those type of things. So,
Yeah.
You're either going to be consistently good or consistently bad.
yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Just
you're right,
make sure
you're
it's on the same thing on both ends of the court.
Yeah.
right. Yeah. All right.
All right. So I think we're going to go ahead and transition into this very next thing.
What,
And I
you want to
know-
do a station identification?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, welcome to our episode 14 here on Big Voice Sports. DJ Bessami here. I have Coach Q, referee Josh Taylor, and Coach Eugene Decora.
All right. Yeah. Hey, thanks all you listeners out there for tuning in to this episode. This episode is featuring native certified referee Josh Taylor, myself, and Coach Huge. We're kind of putting him on a hot spot right now, and trying
Yeah.
to get as much as we can out of him. But we've been
big topic coming out. And I
Yes.
hope you guys all tuned in for this one. If you didn't, you go ahead and share it right now, like it, whatever you got to do.
Yes.
But we're going to talk about we're going to call it the call.
the call. I've been
Yeah.
calling it the phantom call, but it wasn't really a phantom because you kind of seen it. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna have a topic right here with a certified Nebraska State certified referee, and we went to a game last week, and we actually did the live feed of the game on the radio station.
Audio broadcast.
And at the state tournament last weekend, and we got to see our relatives from the north, the Santee Warriors, playing their first ever state basketball tournament game. And they played against a team,
Stanton Bulldogs.
the Stanton.
Is that what it was? Stanton?
Shel-
Shelton Bulldogs.
Shelton.
Bulldogs.
The Shelton Bulldogs. And the Shelton Bulldogs haven't been to the state tournament since the 1930s. So it's been almost 100 years for them. So
Shelton walked in on a 22-game win streak.
on a 22-game win
They
streak.
lost their very first game of the year, and then they went on to a 22-game win streak into the first round of the state tournament. And I'll tell you what, folks, if you guys were all watching, I know we had a lot of fans watching, paying attention to it. I mean, that game was intense,
down to the wire.
all the way down the wire. You know, Santee was down by, I believe, 12 at halftime.
Yep.
We were able to bring in Mr. Dion LaPointe to cover our halftime show. It was really good, very informative. We talked about youth sports and kind of what it takes to be involved in your community and what it takes to kind of get your kids out there and kind of what it can bring, you know, and that's what exactly happened. All those boys played his youth sports, went through his Warrior Lodge and all that stuff and got themselves there. So, like, remember, he even made that prediction, 12 points? That ain't nothing.
Yeah, he remember
he
what he
said
said?
that.
He said, these boys right here, they've been there before.
Yeah.
They've been in this situation
Yeah.
before. They know how to deal with it.
So then
and he was right.
And then Santee came out, had an amazing third quarter, just woke up, essentially. You know, I think we counted Saul ended up having about 6 rebounds in a row.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and Shelton was missing a lot of shots. He ends up pulling down those 6 rebounds. They were running and gunning. They were knocking threes down.
Their guard, Kellen Saul, knocked down those 3 threes in a row.
Yep. Then they ended up learning that turnover count really went down. And then I think they found themselves up by, 5 at the end of the third. Right? I think they were up by 5 at the end of the third. And then we lead in the fourth quarter, and then Santee takes off again, goes on another big run halfway through.
So
and with about, what was it?
Let me just add a little footnote into your conversation right now, your words, bro. At that point, I believe the foul count was already 8-1 or 8-2.
7-2 when they started
7-2?
fouling. It was 7-2 when they had to start fouling. So at that moment, Shelton might have had 1 foul.
Yeah.
Leading into that.
Yeah, and that was in the fourth quarter sometime.
Correct.
Yeah, that was late in the fourth quarter. They only had 2 fouls.
Yeah, they had to start fouling. I mean, I'll get to that point. Good point there. I'll add that in. So when you get to that moment there, you're about 3 or 4 minutes to go, and I believe Santee has like a 9-point lead.
Yep.
You know what I mean? They're up by 9. And then you see Santee kind of go into more of a stall, pass the ball around. They were bombing some threes, which they did make a few, and that kept that lead up. But then with about a minute to go, Santee up by, I think, 9 still. About 9 still. This is when Shelton starts to foul.
Yeah.
Right, and they had 6 fouls to give, 5 fouls to give still, because I said, it was 7-2. But in the same time, give Shelton all the credit in the world, because I believe Santee sat in that 2-3, and then that number 20 and the number 10, their 2 leading scorers, just had free reign from each of the wings, and they were bombing away on them threes.
And they was hitting them.
And they were hitting them. So then lead up us into about a minute to go or so. I mean, Santee's only up by 2. Maybe 3, and then it's just kind of a back and forth game at that moment. And then as the game progressed on, like you said, they had to start fouling, because now we're under, I think, 30 seconds or 20 seconds or something like that, and they actually start fouling to get the ball back. Santee's up by 3 or 4, I think, at that point. We start fouling, but then they end up getting a couple steals. Shelton gets within 1 point, and now we're talking, this is the moment we've all been waiting for. It's about the call. There was an inbound play. I believe Santee called the timeout, and they went to go inbound the ball from half court, because they were advancing it up, almost lost it. Coach LaPointe calls timeout, and then they're taking the ball out on the sideline right in front of the scorer's table, and Santee's going to line up on their inbound play with 7 seconds left. Shelton had 2 fouls left to give, by the way, with 7 seconds left. You're up by 1. In a lot of minds, you're thinking just inbound the ball, right? Let's just get the ball in.
Just get the ball and hold on to it.
And let's get it over with. And let's get out of here. Let's go make some free throws. This 7 seconds, I mean, you're going to spend 2 just getting the inbound, depending on how fast they make the call.
Yeah, I was already on the phone trying to book a room for the next night.
Don't mind. I'm telling you guys what, folks. I'm sitting there and I'm watching the game with my headset on, and we're talking. I'm thinking the same thing. Like, we're coming back.
Yeah.
We're going to come back the next 2 days. Like, they did it. They beat the 22-0 team, or the 22-1 team. 22-gun win streak over is what I'm thinking in my head. Didn't say it out loud.
Yeah, me too.
And then next thing you know, we see Saul setting up almost in front of the ball, and number 10 was just hounding the man, like just almost grabbing him. You didn't, and if you guys all seen the replay, it's all out there. Everybody in the world's seen it. He didn't physically grab him or nothing, but he was close enough to bug him. And then Saul stands up, turns around, kind of just a quick turn, before the ball was even in the guy's hands, and the guy goes flying down to the ground. And in the replay, if you watch it, it does look like he lifts up his elbow. It looks like it. But then you catch a couple angles because somehow everybody's got it, right? You see angles from all over the place.
Well,
And
let's
so
go-
do you think the elbow came up? Let's start there.
well, let's go back to what we saw. We were on the other end of the court.
Correct.
What I saw is I saw a foul.
Okay.
I did. That's what I saw from our angle. From our angle where we were, I saw a foul. And I think we even said, why?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why
First
did
thing.
you do that?
Yeah. First thing is why.
You know?
Because
But
they're in the bonus. They're in double bonus already by this moment. Okay, so we're going to ask Josh here. That's what we
Okay.
brought him on the show for.
yeah.
In that instance, dead ball, the inbounder does not have the ball in his hand.
Correct.
Referee calls, not just a foul, calls a technical. Was that the right call to make?
And what would you have done if you were
Yeah,
ref in
what's that
game?
situation for you
Yeah.
if you're standing there in that?
Now, by rule, are you trying to go by rule? Is that the correct?
Let's start
call?
there. Let's start there. Yeah, start there.
So there isn't a rule that specifies that when the ball is dead and there's egregious contact. When I say egregious, it has to be flagrant or intentional.
Yep.
Neither of those existed. It
Yep.
was not intentional. Why would a team up one, getting ready to inbound the ball, why would they foul intentionally?
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen.
And that's that word, the word intent.
Intent. So the rule states that if a team intentionally or egregiously makes contact, it is deemed a technical foul
Because it's a dead ball.
because it's a dead ball. That is more towards the defensive team trying to create one to get them to that foul count
Without losing any
without
time.
losing any time, which is why the technical foul would have been implemented.
Yeah.
I feel as if this official was confused by that.
Hmm.
I don't think a technical should have been called on Santee. I seen a lot of articles online, and they all reference this. Since the ball was dead, it had to be a technical.
Yeah.
It does not have to be a technical. That merely only applies to the defensive team because you're intentionally causing a foul to save time.
Yeah.
So the award to that is a technical foul, 2 shots, you get the ball back.
That's just like if we're down by 1, and I tell my boy, hey, go out and grab this guy before they inbound it and tell the ref, hey, I'm going to foul this guy.
Yep.
And then by doing that, we put him on the free throw line. Just go shoot the free throws because I want the time.
Exactly.
I'll let you have the 2 points because I'm only going to be down by 3, but I want the ball back with
Exactly.
7 seconds left.
Yeah.
So in that instance, our ref Josh out here is saying, per rule, that egregious, the intent, all those terms he was using, that's all more towards the defensive side of the ball.
It was applied incorrectly.
Okay, so next question then, coming down the wire here, is in that instance, we talk about, everybody's been asking about the flop. Everybody says, that's a flop, that's a flop. Is that not a call? And I think you probably seen the same articles that people are pulling, they're screenshotting it out of the rule book,
Yep.
saying, hey, the flop should be a technical as well. That's a foul as well.
Yep.
Well, we had a quick conversation before the show started, and Mr. Josh has got something to differ here.
So contrary to the Facebook post that's out there, the screenshots or whatever, high school does not have a rule specific to flopping.
Now, is that just Nebraska, or is that the country?
That is the country. That's the NFHS.
Right here, folks. You heard it first.
Nationally. Does not have a rule that specifies if a player flops, it is a technical foul. Does not specify.
So that screenshot that somebody did, that might be like maybe a college or a Division II college.
So college this year, NCAA, JUCO, whatever the case may be, even GPAC, they have all adopted this new rule where if a player flops, they are assessed a technical, and it's a one-shot technical. So I think a lot of people are getting confused with that rule at the collegiate level, and they're trying to bring it down to the high school level, which in my opinion is should be there, but there's a lot of things to work out.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things to work out as far as When you go to the college level down to the high school level, there's huge difference in rules. You bring that rule down into the high school, there's tons of ways to go about it. How are you going to do this? How are you going to do that?
Mm-hmm.
And how are you going to differentiate them from the college to high school?
Mm-hmm.
That's the big question. So I think the rule is coming. How soon? I don't know.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Now, with that being said, there is a way for an official to call a foul, a technical foul, for flopping. It more or less would be a delay of game technical. You are now delaying this game by throwing yourself to the ground.
Yeah.
You can assess that all day. As long as you can articulate to the coach and whoever else is going to ask about it.
I guess that's the way I would ask about it then, the way you kind of put it like that when you say like the delay of game part of it. I mean, does that really come down to like, say the kid threw himself on the ground and, I'm hurt from the foul? Or are you saying like real quickly, like, I spun around, you went flying backwards, but now I'm free to inbound the ball on the inbound. Like, are you going to call a foul on the kid for that? You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, is that gonna hurt us because, hey, I caused that foul? Well, they got to inbound it again. And I'm not getting another chance to steal it.
Right, and
you
so
know what I mean?
And that's why I say there's a lot to work out, before that rule comes down to high school.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Because it's all at the judgment of the official.
Mm-hmm.
So I got two more things. And the first thing, Josh, is like, okay, you told us about the rule,
Okay.
but you know, when we sit there and watch games, from whether we're on court side, up in the crow's nest, just a spectator in the bleachers, we're all reffing the game in our head.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
We're all reffing the game in our head. It's like I said a while ago, me and you just looked at each other and say, why? Why did he? But looking at the replay, though,
Yep.
myself, looking at the replay, I seen a huge flop. I didn't see the contact that I saw the first time.
You see. Correct.
So the first question is, what did you see then? As a ref, what did you see?
What I saw in real time,
Yeah.
what I saw was a foul by Santee.
Yeah.
Okay.
Will I say it rise to the level of a technical? No. I won't say it was a technical foul. I would say common foul on Saul. We're going to award the ball to Shelton.
Yeah, that would have been my next question, is that, if there is an offensive foul, it would have been an offensive foul in that situation. Who gets the ball?
Yep, we're just like if the ball were live, we're going the other way.
Okay.
Okay.
So that was the first part of the question. I'm glad you answered that, because I think I probably would have done the same thing, just called that foul right there. Because, for one, as a referee or as an official and as a grown man, I'm not going to let all these kids' future and accomplishment and stuff like that depend on what I'm calling. I'm going to let the game.
But as a ref in that moment, I mean, is that what's going through your head? You know what I'm saying? You're talking late game. It's been a close game ever since. Shelton's got a foul. Like, the foul's coming, right? And it's just like, at that moment, he was just trying to inbound the ball. And if you noticed, leading up to it, the ref had probably had the ball in his hands for 5 to 10 seconds before he handed it off. And he didn't even get a chance to hand it off to the inbounder, right? It was in his right hand, I believe. Yep. And he was standing there looking around at everybody. And it looked like Santee was just going to line up, right? It looked like they were going to do a lineup right there at half court. Yeah. That's what it appeared to me.
Yeah.
And Saul just never made it there, because at that moment, you're talking about the leading scorer in Nebraska. Right. As a coach, I want you, shadow guarding him. I want you face to face with him at all moments.
Right.
So it's just like, the kid was just doing his job. But we talk about the flop. We watched the other replays of he went up to go shoot, and I think Medina got out on him, and then he kind of threw himself backwards. And we see that all the time. That's a common thing, just in sports in general. And I think that all falls down from the NBA, right? Because that's kind of where everything kind of begins, is people are trying new things, getting away with it, this and that.
That's
and
what
then
they see on
the
TV.
College kids are going to do it, and then you're going to see it come down to the high school level. And especially even at the middle school level, we'll see kids doing this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I seen it this weekend.
Yeah. Our Josh probably likes the favorite one when the kid's dribbling down and he gets bumped and the head goes flying back.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean? Like
crazy.
He bumped me like that. It's just,
so we're gonna just go ahead and wrap up the discussion.
What was your next one? You had 2 questions. You said that was just your first.
I know you interrupted me. Oh no, but I think what I was trying to get at, though, my main thing I was trying to get at was Josh, do you see? I mean, the importance of that call. That if they would have went back and saw a replay, they would have saw the player from the other team grabbing onto his arm and following him, like bodying up on him and walking with him and bothering him and talking in his ear. And like, do you think that in the future that at least at the state tournament level they're going to have a replay?
I don't see a replay happening.
Okay.
But I will say that I think there should have been a conversation amongst the officials on the court.
Praise the Lord. That's what I said.
You
too.
had
Yeah,
exactly
so
what I
if
said.
you go and look at that video, even the game itself, you had two officials blow their whistle and raise their hand as if they had a foul, right? You had the inbounding official,
Yeah.
he the one that threw the technical. He had his hand up, and then you had the official that's in the C across court. He had his hand up. My concern and what really upset me is they didn't come together and say, what did you see?
What the other guy
What
called?
was the call?
What did you have?
Yeah.
Wow.
The inbounding official was too quick on his technical. He assessed it way too fast. And and I'll back up just a little bit. The entire game, the communication amongst that crew was non-existent. You know, that's the thing that carries these games, especially at a state game.
Yeah.
You need to be able to communicate effectively, not only with the players and the coaches, but your partners.
Yep.
You just gave me a whole nother thing to watch at the game.
Yep.
I know.
Yeah, you know, and that's the thing is, you know, if I was Coach LaPlante, I would have said, can you just ask him? Can you just see what he had? Can
Yeah.
you guys have a conversation? Obviously, at that point, the technical was already. You can never really downgrade
Rescind
a
it.
technical.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I say that the technical was way too fast.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I'm glad that we got Josh on the show to
Yeah,
talk
for
about
real.
this. You know,
I think it answers a lot of people's questions. Yeah, agree.
yeah, it does, and we really appreciate you coming in, Josh, and sharing the knowledge that you got and sharing the experience, and you know, just all this all around talk. You know, it's been a real good one to discuss. You know,
Oh, yeah.
I really appreciate that. You know, so I think we
got time, she said. We can go over. We're good.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
We're good.
Okay, so
I had to ask.
No, but I was also going to get into some of these other topics, but I do, you know, I do want to say this, you know, listeners out there, if you guys got some young relatives and, you know, they're former athletes. I mean, you don't have to be a former athlete, but, you know, just somebody that's a fan of the game, whether it be basketball or football or wrestling or volleyball, baseball, softball, any of that kind of stuff, you know, try to encourage them to give back to the game and come out and, you know, try to see if they would do something like refereeing and or coaching or something like that. You know, we're really low staff on all that stuff out here, and then especially we try to do all these things here in Winnebago and stuff. So the not only parent involvement is important, but we need community involvement as well. So just try to encourage you all to come out and help do our parts.
I mean, that's a good segue into just our youth sports that we got going on here in the community. You know, like I said, I know that I'm assuming everybody saw our flyer. Wheeling Thunder Athletics is kind of what I'm trying to rebrand as. You know, we're Wheeling Thunder Athletics. We are sponsoring.
You did post that
the baseball
flyer on the Whirling Thunder Facebook
Wheeling Thunder
page.
the health department page. It's on all those, and I try to share it with all our parents of the former players from last year. But we are sponsoring baseball this year. We will have 8 and under, 10 and under, 12 and under, and 14 and under this year. So we added 14 and under and 8 and under this year.
I'm so glad you added 14 and under, man, because then you know my sonny boy can play too, because he was kind of bummed out last year after the season was over, saying, "Man, Dad, I don't think they're gonna have baseball next year."
I'm
for
telling
my
you what,
age."
guys, I'm doing my best
Yeah.
to try to keep our kids going. And just to give you guys a quick sneak peek, I know I want to keep talking about it, but just to give everybody's interest and whatnot, like after this season, so I probably won't come next summer, but the summer after that, we are going to apply for a Legion baseball team. And I do plan on playing 16U here in Winnebago.
And yeah, I was just gonna ask you too if some of the listeners that might not know that age group of Legion. So that's 16 and under.
16 under, and it can go up to 18 and under.
18
As
under.
long as I can build we can build the kids in our community that come out and play and get the parent support and things like that, I want to keep pushing us to grow. I'd love to see us keep playing baseball. And the reason for that is that even at the NAIA level, at the D2 level, there's baseball players that are needed. That's another sport in this country that's kind of gone down in numbers a lot.
Yeah.
I think everybody's more turning towards basketball and this and that, because baseball, it's a tough sport. But there is opportunities for you to go out there and get your education while playing a sport.
Yeah,
and I'll tell you what, man, if you can, and once we get talking to those Peru coaches, they're bringing a lot of our Winnebago kids down there to Peru State. You know, it's almost like it's our pipeline is down to Peru, and it's been like that ever since. You know, I think Jason Gostad got recruited down there when he was playing. You know what I'm saying? Like, Peru's always kind of looked up here to Winnebago for some of their athletes.
Yeah.
And so there is opportunity down there for a lot of people, and moving on to the next ones. So moving on from just the baseball, that also includes our fast pitch softball teams. We are adding 14U. We will have 12U, 10U, and we will have an 8U fast pitch team. 8U is going to have a hybrid. The kids are going to start pitching at 8U and 10U. So they'll get a few pitches, and the coach will come in and coach pitch the rest of it. And like we've been talking about with Josh here, I mean, Josh came down and even did a couple of my baseball games last year, but that's what we need in the community right now. I need umps.
Yeah.
I mean, among our 4 teams I just spoke about on baseball, 8s, 10s, 12s, 14s. I mean, you're talking about 8 home games apiece on those, right? And that's, what's 8 times 4, Cuco?
8
No, I'm
times
just
what?
kidding. 8 times 4. I'm just kidding. But I mean,
40.
you're talking
40.
games. You're talking games. 32, I believe, right, folks?
Yes.
32.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. I just wanted to check you guys, man.
And that's 4 work days.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're talking 32 games just among that, and then you add in fast pitch. That's 32 more
Yeah.
that need umpires. You know what I mean? And there's money to be made here in the community. You know, and we can build you guys up. We can send you to trainings. We can get you guys certified. So that way you don't have to just umpire here. You can actually take that to Sioux City. Go hit up Floyd. Go hit up other tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I mean, not even just that. I've already reached out to Josh for our early bird tournament. He's going to help me find some certified umpires for that.
There you go.
Because I always bug and tell my guys in my little circle that I got that help me out with softball stuff. Like, I feel like there's enough of us here in the community that we could handle it.
Yeah.
I really feel like that. I do anyway.
Yeah.
Whether the guys want to or not.
Right.
But of course, all my umpires are players.
Yeah.
They're the guys that want to come and enjoy the tournament. They don't want to have to worry about, well, I'm scheduled from here and here and
Yeah.
here. But again, that's my opinion. That's the way I feel about it. I feel like we can take care of ourselves.
Yeah.
Like we can do our own. You know, but it's getting everybody else on track and getting them to understand that. And if they want to have that certification before you step behind the plate, that's fine. Let's go do it then.
Right.
I've got plenty of programs here in the community that are willing to reach out. Project Launch is one of them that want to build up our umpires and our referee base here in
Yeah.
Winnebago.
Yeah.
Like, they want to go and help you pay for your umpire and your ref fees and go help you get certified at
Yeah.
NSAA. I mean, as you know, bringing Josh in, what's the timeline for you? You know, what would it take you to get there to even be on with NSAA? Wear the patch.
I mean, you go online, you're going to register, they'll send you everything, your books, everything you need to know, they'll send to you. It's not that difficult. And you guys should be grateful that you guys have programs like this
Yeah.
that are willing to, assist with some of those fees and assist to get that all set up. And when you go to the city, you're on your own.
Yeah,
You don't. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so just be grateful and utilize whatever, Project Launch, whatever programs are out there.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen who are listening out there on the radio, we have a little graphic up right now that talks about the baseball. It's the flyer for the baseball practices and stuff like that. And so just go ahead and take a look at that.
So what we're going to do with that flyer right there with baseball practice, these next 3 Sundays, whether your kid's 8U all the way down to 14U, just come on out. You're going to come meet all our coaches. We're going to get together for a couple hours. We're going to throw the ball around. We're going to have some kids start to pitch. Want to have some kids try out some catching gear.
Yeah.
It's pretty much spring training for us.
Yeah.
That's the way we're going to treat it. If the weather's nice, I'll be posting on Facebook. So if you guys aren't following me, if you're not following the Whirling Thunder page, please follow those pages. That's where a lot of our information is going to come from when it comes to the baseball stuff. And if the weather's nice, we'll be at Land of Wellness. If not, we're more than likely, we're probably going to be down at Whirling Thunder in the gym.
Yeah.
That's more than likely where we're going to be at.
And that's good information right there. And then how about the girls, the fast pitch? When do you think
that's coming
when
together? It's crazy because it's so hard for me to start fast pitch this early because all my fast pitch girls literally just started their volleyball season.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we were just talking about all that with our volunteer coaches and stuff in the last show. But they this last Sunday was their first week playing.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just like we're gonna have to double duty here leading up into it because as soon as volleyball gets over, it's over like 2 weeks before the first softball game.
Yeah.
So like you talk about wanting to keep our kids busy, we got them. You know what I mean? It's literally what we're doing. We're constantly trying to keep our kids moving around.
Then how about Eugene? How about for like the girls and the boys for this springtime,
Co-ed?
or summer for the baseball and the softball? Are you guys looking for coaches?
Correct. Reach out if you're interested. Just because, like, these baseball teams that I have, I know that my 12U is looking for the head coach. But if you're interested, we're more than welcome and happy to take assistance as well. Just because, like, if you have experience, I know I've reached out to people like Tony Wood, or what's his name? The place for Hawates. Come on, Sean, help me out.
Oh,
Dalton. Elton's boy. The one that played for Morningside.
Yeah,
Reaching out to them. There's a lot of younger groups. There's a couple Snyders from down there in Bancroft that played for Bancroft, lived down Rosalie area. Even reaching out to those guys, Devon, Aspen, all you guys that grew up playing baseball. I'd love to have you guys come in the door and just teach us a couple of tricks. Whether you just want to help a kid, even if you come in and help one kid get some hits during the season, that's what we need.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's really what we need, are the people who step in, have played the game, you love the game, just step in and help. If you can make a couple games, appreciate it.
Yeah.
Because that's like what it takes for our community to come out and be successful. We need the people that want to step up and help out.
Yeah.
Because there's coaches that are stepping up, but man, like I said, we're only one person.
Yeah, anybody that knows those names that Eugene just now talked about, maybe put a bug in their ear about, hey, get down there, you should help those kids play, get this baseball thing going, because we could all use all the help that we can get. And I'm so happy that baseball's back here in Winnebago. Just so happy about that because. That we played baseball when we were younger.
Yeah. Kuna Man, shout out to Kuna Man.
Yeah, then I heard you talk about this in that last episode. You talked about Kuna Man, and that's when it was the last time it was real serious.
Yeah.
And that's been a long time, man.
Yeah.
Been a long time. So I'm real happy that we got that back here in our community. I remember last season watching the games. We had full crowd,
Pack Atlanta Wellness.
Yeah, and then a lot of the people come out and watch the games weren't even related to the kids. They were just come watch the game.
You didn't have to relative there, nothing. Just enjoy the game of baseball. Even with our fast pitch girls, you know what I mean. It was always a good turnout for those. Like I said, we always like to hear the roar of the crowd, and that's something you guys will hear me preach and talk about all day. Is our parent involvement. It's always been a big thing that I've been pushing since I started this job down at Whirling Thunder, is to get the parents involved and to have you show up for your kids' games and things like that. And I don't know, Josh, you get any razzing down here in Winnebago when you're open the baseball games?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
I was gonna say I think you get more teasing than anything.
Oh yeah.
You got so many bros up here; they like to tease.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, I appreciate you guys having this little opportunity for you guys to listen to us, bringing Josh on. I know that I'll be reaching out to him. Like I said, our big spring early bird tournament's coming up next April. We got that one rolling. It's gonna be. I think we're up to 9 co-eds. I'm up to 8 men's teams, and I'm pushing 4 women's teams. I'd be all right with 4 women's teams. If I can get more, I'll take them.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Because you line that up, and I think me and Josh talked. It was 32 games, right, for a 10-team double elim.
Yep.
It's 32 games of softball that'll be played here in town.
That's good.
And that's one of the biggest things that we reached out about. I know that just to give everybody a quick kind of insight about like the direction that I try to take with everything. Honestly, like I want to play our games here in Winnebago. That's been my biggest thing.
Yeah.
And I think Josh was even here when we tried to restart the league.
Yep.
Right. And I just when I came in, that was one of the biggest first asks they asked me is, I want you to run a softball league here, one of the little guys, the slow pitch one. And I looked at him, and I've seen the history behind it, because even when you worked there, that was part of the job, right?
Yeah.
Was you have to run a softball league. And you guys can probably attest to me on this one. There's just not enough kids.
No, not enough kids.
And you couldn't get anybody to come to Winnebago to play. You know what I mean? And that was part of the battle, right?
Yeah.
That's why they weren't super successful. And
we even offered a free league. It was free to other communities, free, no fees.
Yep.
Just show up to play softball.
Yep. And so, that was always my big thing, and that's why you think even big shout out to Pilar Aldrich. She's always had my back behind all this stuff. But it's like I told her right when I walked in the door, even almost in an interview, I want baseball and I want fast pitch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I want that to happen. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like that's where our kids need to be at, and that's what's going to push them to that next level. Because baseball is a different game, man.
It sure is.
Baseball is a different game.
It sure is. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, we are 100.9 FM KWTN, the Big Voice Radio, and right now we're finishing up our episode 14 of the Big Voice Sports Talk Show. Here with me is Coach Huge. We got Josh Taylor, my friend over here, and then DJ Bessami. Just trying to give everybody a shout out right now. We're coming up towards the end of the episode. I'm going to knock out a couple more things real quick, and Coach Huge and Josh. So spring sports, track, golf. I know that Winnebago plays. They have track for the boys and girls, and they have the boys golf season. And I believe it started because track practice started yesterday, and I think so did golf practice.
Yeah, golf's been going this week.
And so, is your Hana out for golf again?
Oh yeah.
Let's go, man. Hana, Hana, he qualified for the state. What do you call it?
Tourney last year.
Golf tournament.
Yeah.
State golf tournament last year, and he did really good. And I'm looking for him to do it again this year.
And that's the plan, man. He's been putting a lot of work during the off season. Kind of picked up the weights this year. You know what I mean? He's kind of just been chilling.
Yeah.
You know, but he decided kind of. I don't know if you guys watched it, that Full Swing that was on Netflix.
Yeah.
That was a
Yeah.
good show.
Yeah.
It kind of inspired him a little bit.
That's
you know what
good.
I mean? Because he's seen like even the PGA guys. You know, they all lift weights.
Yeah.
They all got trainers. You know, it's just the mobility, the flexibility, and things like that. So.
Gotta train.
That's there, man. Golf's arrives, and you know what? He brought a crew with him.
I was
this
just
year.
gonna ask you that. That was my next question. Did he bring some friends along with?
He brought a crew with him this year.
Let's
I think there's
go.
enough to have a varsity and a JV.
Really?
Nice.
Yeah.
So see, Abe, a lot of great things happening in Winnebago, ladies and gentlemen. If you have a kid that's interested in golf, maybe he's not that good right now, or she's not that good right now. Hey, the only way you can get better is to get coached and get some reps in out there. And I believe that we have a great coaching staff here in
Oh,
Winnebago.
yeah, shout out Kenny Blackhawk and Sky Aldrich, man. I'll tell you what, they turned both my kids into state qualifiers. You know,
That's great to
that
hear.
shows you, and that shows you that, you know, that level of commitment that they've got to them. Now, don't get me wrong, they had them all to themselves.
Yeah.
I'll give it that.
Yeah.
They had them all to themselves because there was nobody else out for golf.
Right.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So your coaches are literally walking with you the whole 18 holes and can help you out through these parts and this
Yeah.
and that. But you know, and that just shows you what they can do. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? If anything, my kids started out, I'm going to tell you what, and I think I've said their scores on this, and they might not like it because I'm saying it again, but their first golf meet they ever went to in Laurel, which was like 2 years ago now, I think my Hana won, obviously. I mean, he did win, but I think he shot like a 146.
Oh.
His very first time, his very first golf meet ever shot like a 146. My Randy shot like over a 150, and Kelsey was in the 150s herself. You know what I'm saying? So, like, when you look at those numbers compared to what they're shooting now, and if anybody's ever tried golf, it's hard. Like, it's hard to even break 90. It's hard to break 100 for me right now, and I've been trying to keep up with my kids.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's tough. I don't know, Josh, you dabble in golf?
Yeah. So if you coach down here, do they cover your green fees?
Do
Correct.
they?
Your
Yeah.
course fees?
Correct. Yeah,
Yeah,
whenever.
I might be interested in that. They got to offset the cost a little bit.
I do got to give a shout out to Huge in Whirling Thunder, and also the Boys and Girls Club. The last couple of years, they've been trying to dabble around with some youth golf, and I think that each year it's going to get bigger and bigger. Just like Eugene said about the high school, now there's a little crew now instead of just a one-man show, two-man show, you know. But to start, just like any other sport, to start a kid in a sport early is great, and I know that I believe the Boys and Girls Club got last year they were partnered with Pender
Twin
Twin Creeks, and so they would bring a group of kids that joined the golf club. They would take them over to Pender and go to the driving range for a couple bags of balls, and then they would take them around for a round of golf, and that was their practice. And they would the staff would help with the fundamentals and whatnot, whatever they know, you know.
I mean, that's something that, and as far as like our Fun in the Sun program that we run down there,
Yeah.
that's part of, we were partner with First Tee.
First
First Tee is
Tee, yeah.
a big program. Like, it's around the country, First Tee is. And that's just like a little introduction to golf. Here's a club. Here's, you know, how you swing. And they bring in little coaches to help it out. And then, like, same thing.
And
Just
then
put them through it. And,
Where did you guys do that one at?
oh, that one they actually do in the city over at Sun Valley.
Sun Valley.
Yeah, they would take them up to Sun Valley.
Yeah.
So
I
shout out
believe-
to Sean Walker and the kids, man.
Yeah, I
we
believe
even
my-
got T-shirts out of it
My
and
daughter,
stuff.
my daughter went up last time with your guys' Fun in the Sun. She had a blast, man. So, yeah, shout out to those programs for, you know, letting the kids dabble with golf. You know,
I'm telling you that. I mean, honestly, that's the next step that I've been talking about. You know, as far as like my coordinator job and things like that. Like, I love to work on this baseball stuff. I love that we have it back. But it's like, you know, if I can put the right people in place and I don't have to be at every game. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have to stay at the ballpark
Yeah.
till 9 o'clock with everybody every single night of the week.
Yeah.
You know, if I can do that, it allows me to focus on to the next thing. And what's the next thing for me that I'd love to bring to the community is league golf for our kids at a young age.
League golf.
You
yeah.
know, like, and being able to take like those Boys and Girls Club kids and
Yeah.
partner with Greg and actually get them to be able to go play in little tournaments and
Yeah.
go play in little nines, you know, because like honestly, you can play them all the way down to I think like 8. You know what I mean? Like there's even like 8 all the way up to high school level where you can actually go play in tournaments.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
And
for
jump
these
in
kids.
those kind of things. And and I think they adjust the yardages for like those little bitty guys. They only start out from 150 out, and that's like a par 3, and they start out from 200 out, and that's their par 4s. You know what I mean? So they're not playing from the actual tips or nothing, but it can be done is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, you know what, Huge? I mean, that information right there, that is awesome information, because I always want to try to get the kids into some kind of a golf league or something like that, but I don't have the connections I need. I guess the internet would be the easiest way, But like, I know you got a lot of connections out there, and so I'm real glad that you brought that up, trying to get those kids into a league. But anyway, moving on, we're gonna talk real quick about track and field. Just started on Monday, and I guess the only thing that I really want to say is that I just heard that the high school boys and girls track team is kind of small this year. Not too many people going out. And myself, I guess the only thing I really want to say on the show about that is I really want to encourage you student athletes that aren't out for any sports right now, that are going to go out for football next year or do the baseball during the summertime. You guys go out for track. Go out for track, and it's a even if you don't think you're good enough, you're getting training in every day after school.
Josh, did you dabble in track into high school and stuff?
No. I mean,
at least he's honest,
what's
right?
that one sport where you put the
shot put?
Shot put. There you go.
Yeah.
I might have did that, but the running, the long distance, that wasn't for me.
Yeah.
I once went to a high school track meet and I watched my buddy Rory fling the discus and hit our art teacher right in the nose.
Oh my goodness!
Shout out to Rory. I witnessed it happen at the South Sioux meet. I watched it happen.
He gave a shout out to Rory.
That was the bro growing up, man. And track was one of our sports. But okay, going back to what you just said, it's small this year, but look at the opportunities all the kids have now. The different programs and the things that are involved. And like when we were growing up sports wise, you literally had football for guys anyway. This is the way it went, right? Girls was volleyball that season. You had basketball, and then you had track. And those are the three things you got to do during high school. And that was it. That's all you had. But you talk about what they have now, like there's, for track anyway, this spring season, you've got boys golf. You've still got esports. You know what I mean? And then like they have the one act play happening tonight, 6:30. Y'all, as soon as we get done here, y'all fly over there. That's where I'm going. But I mean, there's all this other opportunity, speech. That the speech meets they go to, and I was always there. But I mean, I feel like Winnebago's kind of taking a shift away from like that athleticism that Q was talking about. He's encouraging his kids to build. Like I feel like because there is so much more opportunity in the community that might be a reason why the numbers are down. That's just my opinion. What I'm thinking anyway. Yeah.
I know that my Sunday boy Rock, he said that he was the only one out of his class that went out this year, and they got a big class, man. So, that's all I'm trying to do. Just encourage you young people, or encourage you parents that have a young student athlete to, not necessarily push them. I don't want nobody pushing their kids to do something they don't want to do, but maybe kind of just hype it up and kind of make it sound like real fun,
Oh, and track can be fun.
It is fun. It was the funnest sport.
Fly around out there.
You're going to hang out with all your friends from different schools and
stuff like that. You get out of school all day long.
You can't do that during football. You can't do that during volleyball or basketball.
You get to do that during golf.
You got to hang out all day with golf. Hey, those are your spring sports right there.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, we are at our last topic, and I believe Bethany's going to pull up a little thing of the NCAA tournament bracket. We're going to get done with this NCAA tournament bracket. I'm going to ask Josh, I'm going to ask Coach Huge and Bethany who they're going to be their final four. I know that she has it pulled up right there. I'm just going to let you guys know this right now, and I'll get to you guys. Probably about 6 or 7 episodes ago, when the basketball season first started for the Division I college level, I believe I said, who you got? And DJ Guaranteed and everybody, that was in attendance that day on the episode, they chose theirs. And the one I chose that I said was going to win it all, I'm still going to go with them. And it's right up there on the right-hand corner, the University of Houston. That's the University of Phi Slamma Jamma, where Clyde Drexler and Akeem Olajuwon, those guys went to school at.
Good pick. Texas got good basketball.
Yeah.
I go with that. Texas got good basketball.
Yeah, and I'm going with KU too.
I was gonna say, yeah.
I'm going with KU too. I mean, I think they're on. I'm not sure. I think they're on the same side of the bracket. So one of those teams are gonna. I'm gonna say Houston because I said it earlier, and I don't want to be saying, "Oh, bandwagon guy."
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with who I said at the beginning, but they're gonna play. They're gonna end up playing Kansas though somewhere.
Yeah, I think Kansas will make it as well. I've been hearing my buddy Beetle all year long. That's all it ever is in my ear. Bro, you ever hear about Kansas? Bro, you know Kansas is really good. It's like, oh my gosh, yeah, I know, I get it. So anyway, I know Kansas is good. Another team that I like that I'm kind of following this year, that I think is going to do really well in terms of Alabama.
Alabama.
I think Alabama's going to do really good.
And then normally they're not a basketball school, they're a football school. But I noticed that they've held that number one spot a couple times this year.
Well, what's crazy this year is that, I mean, I don't know, my nephews and my son and everybody, we were sitting out at leagues one night, right? We're hanging out at leagues, and like before I went to bed one night, you're browsing YouTube trying to find something, just kind of just falling off, and I found I find this video on Alabama. And I don't know if you guys know about this, anything about their offense, but they run the old style of Phoenix Suns offense where you shoot within the first 7 seconds, and they never take a mid-range jumper. They have the lowest percentage of mid-range jumpers in the NCAA the past 3 or 4 years since that guy took over at coaching. Can't say his name right now. So they're only going to get layups and shoot threes. They'd rather take a tough three or take an open three, run offense for an open three than they will a mid-range jumper. That's like crazy. You watch a little bit about their game. They're going to drive, and like you got nobody around you, and you're 15 feet in the basket. They're either going to finish the drive or they're kicking out for the three. So I'm intrigued by their offense. That's why I say Alabama. I'm intrigued by it myself because it reminds me of res ball. Yeah, it's res ball. It's honestly what it is. We'd rather throw the ball out and shoot a three than we would take a layup.
And the crazy thing about it, while you're saying that about Alabama, that's why I like Houston. Because Houston plays like full court, like tight defense, and they press a lot of the times. And I think we said this on on that same episode before, is that their head coach is native, and he runs them like he would run the kids on a res.
All right,
res
Josh,
ball.
you've been quiet. A couple segments here. Let's hear.
All
What
right.
you got here?
I'm gonna go with Coach Shire and the Dukies.
The Dukies.
The Dukies.
Ooh, is that just because that's your squad, or because Coach K is not there no more?
That's what I say, Coach Shire.
I know, but I'm just saying.
Call me by name.
I've been a Dookie fan all my life.
All your life.
All my life. So,
yeah.
So
but I will say, if not Duke, I do like Kansas.
Kansas.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody likes Kansas, though.
Name one Kansas player.
Yeah.
I don't need to.
Because I couldn't.
That's why I could name one, but his last name I can't say over the air. So anyway.
Okay. Because I can't name one Kansas player.
That kid will probably get the National Player of the Year too. So
yeah.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen,
real quick, Josh, I'd love to hear the kind of final thoughts about the call. Kind of like what should us fans do going forward? I mean, I know there was a lot of stuff thrown around at that ref and at that crew, and I mean, you want to call like that. I understand. In this instance, it was never going to get reversed. Yeah. Like, I mean, I know I don't want to put you on the spot. I don't want you to call out the NSAA or nothing like that.
And I know I got a little encouragement from one of my brothers, Craig Cleveland Sr., and he was like, "Yeah, geez, just let it go now. It's over."
Which
it is. But before we let it go,
right. I think the thing to take out of it is how you react is a reflection of you as a community. And I think that was kind of the thing that overshadowed what happened. Yeah. And that's the unfortunate part. Yeah. So, I mean, it's tough. It's tough. It was really tough to see those kids lose that way. Yeah. And as parents, we all want to react a certain way, but we got to remember, like, that's a reflection of who we are as people, as indigenous people. We coming from a reservation that's
because every tribe was in the house on
absolutely,
that one.
Absolutely. And so, I mean, it was a little unfortunate, but you take it for what it is, and the memories that boys have, and big shout out to Santee and the basketball team, and just take it one day at a time. It's tough. It is tough.
I don't know if you guys saw that now, but Shelton ended up winning the what's it called? That award for sportsmanship award.
I don't know how.
And that's some crazy stuff.
Like, come on now.
So on that note, my weekly winner, my weekly winner is Santee boys basketball team for all they've done and the excitement they brought to Indian country here in the Midwest.
I mean, if you guys were listening to the show, you heard me saying that place was wild. Yeah, man. Yeah, that, and like honestly, like we haven't been down to the state tournament. I've been to other state games just with my kids or just watching on TV or whatever. But it's just like, 'cause, you know, we want to watch Charlie play and all that in those state games. Ain't nothing like when Indians are in the crowd, man. I tell you what, man.
Us Indians do it different.
It's something different. It really is, though.
It is.
It really is, because I think Santee's crowd, or just, you know, the native supporter crowd, we outnumbered them 3-1. It was loud enough to sound like a home game for Santee.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
And it looked like a fan base of a Class A school and not a Class D school.
Yeah, they had to, like I said, they ended up moving all the Class D schools into that arena right there.
Heck
so
yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Like I said,
a lot for them to hold their head high up on.
Yeah, for real.
Don't take anything negative of this. It's unfortunate, but you know, it happened.
And I guess that's how we're gonna end up closing out this episode, ladies and gentlemen. We want to let everybody know from the Santee basketball program that here at the Big Voice Sports Talk Show and the Big Voice Radio, that we are all proud of you guys on how you guys conducted yourselves down there. And we will see you guys soon down in Lincoln. You know, you got a young ball team. So, ladies and gentlemen, that'll do it for our episode tonight.
Appreciate you, Josh. Thanks for coming on,
yes,
man.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks to all you guys. And you are listening to 100.9 FM, the Big Voice Radio.